First up on my reviews of the books from Comic Bento is the Daredevil Season 1. Um, this basically is the story of the Daredevil, of how he first got into his accident all the way to the evolution of um, of the suits that he wears, from the yellow and red to just a plain red. It is cut up with a story of how he is a lawyer during the day, and his um, his cases and following them through to the end. He, as the Daredevil, he ends up fighting against a man called the Owl, Purple Man, and Mr. Fear. Uh, the Owl is just that. He's basically a man who possesses both uh, man features and owl features. The Purple Man is a little bit more complex in that, yes, he is a purple man, but he the way he can manipulate people is by looking at them and just asking them to do things for them. So basically, uh, turn it, setting them up into a hypnotic state. Finally, Mr. Fear, the way he dealt with him is he figured out that Mr. Fear uses a toxic blast that makes you fear him. Each one of these supervillains he takes down with relative ease. Mr. Fear the least, being the strongest of all three. It was a good book. Um, if you are a Daredevil fan, I highly recommend it. If not, it could go either way. Highlander, brought to us by Dynamite Entertainment. Highlander, the Dark Quickening. In this, we follow the cousins Connor and Duncan MacLeod, and in it, an old adversary has come back from the dead, so to speak, and is slowly taking over Connor. Uh, he is this villain's name is called the Kurgan, and Connor killed them because they were Highlanders and there can only be one. But what he didn't know was by taking the Kurgan's head, he also absorbed a little bit of the Kurgan's evil soul. Well, another Highlander also found out about this and wants to become the only Highlander alive. So he wants to try to get Connor to release this evil energy that he has inside him. So he kidnaps him and tries to force him into a battle with his cousin Duncan, which he ultimately fails. The plan is to have Connor kill Duncan, and then this new guy would kill Connor, and he would absorb all the energy that Connor had. It is a good book. Um, if you are a fan of Highlander, I would suggest if you were a fan of both Highlanders, the movies and the TV series, only because in this particular book it follows both. So, next up, Exo Manowar Enter Ninjak. Uh, Brought to us by Valiant Comics. It starts off the Manowar comes to Earth, and um, the United Kingdom has decided that he is a terrorist. So, with that being said, they deploy a a secret service group to try and kill him. Well, this man of war kills all but one and kidnaps that one. Anyway, after defeating these guys, it is decided that there is only one that can bring down this man of war, and that is Ninjak. Well, Ninjak goes after him, but during this time, the man of war has one of the members tied to a tree, and he's asking him all these questions. And he notices that um, this guy can speak a strange language, and it is the language of the aliens of where his suit comes from. So he starts asking this guy all these questions about how does he know this language, who is he really, stuff like that. And then the story unfolds to the fact that um, he is uh, um, a dropling or something like that. And there is a bunch of them that were sent out through different times. And basically, what they are aliens that could come off as human and could mingle with the humans. And even though the society would die off, these alien pods, I guess you could call them, would still be around. Um, and he also finds out that the reason why he's being tracked is not because they really believe he's a terrorist, but because these aliens uh, want the suit back. And the reason why they want the suit back is because they're planning an invasion of Earth. So, meanwhile, Ninjak is hunting them, and he also does he deploys a thing where he listens in on what the two of them are talking about. And he hears the whole thing about the aliens and all that, and uh, to make a long story short, he becomes part of the team, uh, and decides to work with them. A good book. I would recommend reading it. I actually enjoyed it so much I might end up reading it again. But I would say that if you're a fan of Exo Manowar or Valiant, it is definitely a book for you. Okay. For all you DC lovers out there, whether you're Team Superman or Team Batman, this was a pretty good book. Um, as I stated about DC fans, this book comes from DC Comics. It starts off with um, Batman and Superman in an alternate universe where there's a super group called the Maximums, and somehow one of the Maximums, known as Bullman, ends up getting murdered. Well, uh, with that, they end up being targeted as the perpetrators of the murder. And in the background is a radio station, which is a talk show radio station, talking about the violence in video games and comics. Meanwhile, while there's a type of a war going on um, between Batman, Superman, and these Maximums. Uh, so it goes back and forth, and it is finally realized that this is all in the mind of the Joker, and that some of these beings aren't even real. Um, it is a chess game between the Joker and Mixie Spitlick that's going on. Probably one of my shortest reviews ever. Next up is Iris, the executive assistant. And this one is pretty much from Aspen and Titan Productions. It's pretty much a cut and dry story about an executive assistant named Iris who um, protects her boss to the utmost degree and does anything and everything for him. Well, through working through him in the different missions that she is sent on, she slowly starts to realize that the web she is in is deeper than she realized, and that the spider in this web is her boss, and he needs to be dealt with. Uh, it's a good story. It is very gripping. Uh, it's very good. The only thing I didn't care for with this one is the fact that it was a to be continued. Anyway, that has been my review of the Bento Box graphic novels. Thank you and goodbye.